Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today's June 22nd, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. I was trying to count out the numbers. Yeah, it looks like we got a cool 666. Now we had another 2 today. Happy belated summer solstice and Father's Day. Kicked off yesterday. Big occult rituals coming down for summer solstice. Keep all that in the back of your mind as world events unfold. What do we have today? There's big falling out, back and forth. I guess we had some type of peace talks. They made it as obnoxious as possible. That would be America, as per usual. In the middle of the, or before it even started, actually, to go ahead and spike it, Trump went ahead and threatened to basically blow up all of Iran again. And so it's back to the sticking point. Are you, Aardvarkland, going to stop the massacres, carpet bombings, ethnic cleansing, and genocide program you got going on? Seems not so much. It seems to have, they seem to have calmed down a little bit today, but they're still whacking people. They're still whacking people. We're going to cover all these details. Where are we at in Iran war peace negotiations? We're going to take a look at all of that. The falling out over the weekend, it seems they're low on PSYOPs at the White House. They're still pumping Q PSYOP BS. I guess some idiots still believe this, but they're still pumping it. We'll take a look at that. They're launching military-grade PSYOPs out of the White House against the American people. Everyone should be steaming angry about it, but there's people out there that love it, apparently. So we'll take a look at all of these details that have transpired. Essentially, nothing's changed. It's a whole lot of talk for nothing. Aardvark say we will continue to occupy the land we already stole, and we're just not expanding aggressively right now. We'll get into the exact language they're using. It's all quite horrific. So they've really, and this is kind of a goofball story, but I guess we'll cover it because it's getting a lot of media attention. And now it's escalated. The reflecting pool there in Washington, D.C. is now escalated to essentially martial law at the reflecting pool. With how many? Five people? At least 5 people have been arrested over vandalism at the reflecting pool. And now they've rolled out, well, they have men with guns standing there guarding it, the National Guard. They're rolling out surveillance towers. I saw some videos over the weekend, helicopter patrols. It's just another big distraction, but it illustrates all of this tyranny that we're facing. And we got a bunch of technocracy news today. Take a look at that. We got economic news. We have geopolitical news as Keir Starmer, the Fabian socialist, resigns as UK Prime Minister. Take a look at that. Other geopolitical news, they're still whacking people in Lebanon and Gaza. The genocide there continues. It's calmed down a little bit. I guess you could say in the last 24 hours, they're not doing full-fledged carpet bombing campaigns, but they are still whacking people here and there, stacking the bodies. There is no ceasefire. They had a big Aardvark conference. What was it? I don't even know what the stupid name of it. There's no conspiracy, but they did have a big Aardvark News Syndicate Summit. We'll show you some of the most embarrassing moments from that and some stark self-admissions from Bibi, Shadow President of America. I know, we wonder why everybody's all pissed off all the time. Well, he gives you an insight into it. All of that and much more on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As I see some people coming online right now, welcome to the chat over there. Let me just check in. Plutonium, welcome. I hope you got the full version of that of that video. I was posting clips over the weekend with Legal Man. It's up there on the Odysee, not allowed on some of our channels, as you would suppose. All right, let's get to this day in history and get to all this news for you. On this day in our history of June 22nd, we go back to the year 1497, and there was an anti-tax insurrection in Cornwall suppressed by Black Heath. Horrible. On this day, 1559, some noticing was happening. 1559, on this day, Aardvark quarter of Prague was burned and looted. And Bibby tells us, he gives us some insight why these things would happen throughout history. I know everybody in history's a bunch of hateful bigots, but it just it keeps happening, you see. On this day in 1633, Galileo recants his heretic position that the Earth orbiting the sun is at odds with the Bible and church teachings. The Vatican apologizes in 1992 for how it handled the case. That was good of them. Apologizing, how many centuries later? Told Galileo. Sure he appreciates it. 1775, on this day, we saw the first continental currency issued, $3 million worth. Oh, by the way, that brings to mind today, Alan Greenspan, it was announced, died. We'll have some clips of him at the ripe old age of 100 years old. And also Clive Davis. So two giant Zionists died today. Felt like the world's become a better place, just saying. Okay, continuing. 1825. On this day, British Parliament abolishes feudalism in the colonial systems of North America. Well after the Revolutionary War. On this day, 1868. On this day, 1868, Arkansas rejoins the Union. On this day, 1870, Congress creates the Department of Justice, and they started covering up for Epstein then in 1870. No, really, but feels like it at this point. We have no justice. All the crooked politicians are above the law. We will see no justice for the legion of crimes against humanity they've committed against the populace here now. Thank you very much, Department of Justice. We do appreciate the continuing Epstein files cover-up amongst other continuing cover-ups. On this day, 1934, John Dillinger is informally named as America's first public enemy #1. On this day, 1940, France surrenders to Nazi Germany with the northern half of the country occupied and the south established as the Nazi client state Vichy French. On this day, 1941, Germany invades the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa. Nazi Germany and its allies invade the Soviet Union during World War II, the largest military operation in history. On this day in 1981, Mark David Chapman pleads guilty to killing former Beatle John Lennon. Beatles suck too in their psyop. On this day in 2011, Whitey Bulger arrested after hiding for 16 years. Boston gangster Whitey Bulger is arrested outside his apartment in Santa Monica, California. Yeah, he was a rat for the feds, so there's always that part of the story. Got left out on this day in history. But he was a rat for the feds. On this day in 2015, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, the good Zionist that she is, calls for the removal of the Confederate flag from the State House grounds in the wake of killings in a Charleston church. Destroying our history as per usual, as the good Zionist that Nikki Haley is. And on this day in 2020, U.S. government data shows African Americans 4 times more likely than whites to be hospitalized from the bat problems, highlighting racial disparities for the bat times. Well, they get systemic racism all wrong because that's not the point of it. But yeah, it's the bat times are full on eugenics operation for anybody that cared to have eyes to see. But the racist out there will never point out the eugenics behind public health targeted at the blacks, or very few actually out there, because that's not what they're all about, is it? All right, continuing here, we got a couple on this day in our civil liberties history. On this day in our civil liberties history, we go back to the year 1964. The Esconbedo case, a right to counsel during police interrogations. The Supreme Court on this day overturned the conviction of Danny Esconbedo, holding that criminal suspects have a right to counsel during in-custody interrogations. Esconbedo had been arrested and released January 20th, 1960 on suspicion of murder in Chicago. He was later rearrested and interrogated for 14 and a half hours while repeatedly denied his request to speak to his attorney. The decision, built on the landmark right to counsel trial decision, Gideon versus Wainwright, decided on March 18th, 1963, and set the stage for an even more important decision, Miranda versus Arizona, on June 13, 1966, which famously held that the police have to inform a suspect of his or her right to attorney before being questioned. Know your rights. On this day in 1966, LBJ signs the Bail Reform Act, affirms rights of criminal suspects. President Lyndon Baines Johnson signed into law on this day the historic Federal Bail Reform Act, which created a presumption of release before trial for federal criminal suspects. The law largely replaced the old money bail system, which had resulted in poor defendants having to remain in jail while awaiting trial. Perhaps the most important, the federal law inspired similar bail reform laws in the 50 states. Attorney General Robert Kennedy had set in motion bail reform on May 27, 1964, at a national bail reform conference. And here's our segue to the news. So, yeah, we lost the Iran war, and Khomeini's still in charge. They still got nukes, and Strait of Hormuz maybe halfway open now. Here's Trump on the 1-year anniversary of Operation Midnight Hammer that allegedly destroyed Iran's nuclear program, but we're still looking. We're still looking for that nuclear dust somewhere in the desert.
It's the 1-year anniversary of Operation Midnight Hammer. If you could go back in time, is there anything you would do differently?
No.
Nothing at all?
It's the most successful attack that anyone's ever seen with a bomber that totally wiped out their nuclear potential. If we didn't do that, you'd have no Israel right now. Israel would not exist, and most of the Middle East would not exist. They were 2 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. If we wouldn't have done that, Pete, they would have had a nuclear weapon.
It's the 1-year anniversary of Operation
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Never going to hit us with a nuke. Here's Vance on some of the peace talks in Switzerland over the weekend with Iran.
No, they didn't throw a wrench in the system. The thing with the Iranians, yes, they did threaten to walk out, or at least there were social media threats that they would walk out. But we were negotiating well past 1 a.m. yesterday, so they didn't walk out. And their technical team is still here in Bergenstock working with our technical team actually as we speak, though I imagine maybe some of them are taking a break to watch this news conference.
You know, through the wrench in there was Trump. Here's them snubbing Vance at the photo op. Very awkward. But apparently we're still learning how the Iranians negotiate. You would think they would know going into the high stakes peace negotiations with Iran.
समिट को जो है वो आगे बढ़ाएगा और उसकी सालसी के अंदर जो है वो ये सिलसिला आगे चलेगा में वो अभी आए थे और वो इस वक्त कर रहे हैं और बात है कि आगामी वक्त वो कब समझा।
Yeah, bro, your orange man just threatened to blow up Iran again on his True Social. They kind of don't take too kindly to that. Here's Trump earlier today.
Earlier today, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his forces are not leaving Lebanon. That is a sticking point in these conversations. He said it publicly in Israel today.
Well, we're going to take a look at it.
Well, what would you do to make sure that he doesn't
I'm not
sabotage the
going to tell you
deal?
what I'm going to do, but it gets solved. I'm a problem solver. I get problems solved real fast, including with Bibi.
Really? They put on this whole charade. They've been doing it a while. There's an infighting between Trump and Bibi, between America's two fake presidents. There's no infighting. Bullshit. Bullshit. But Axios, Aardvark mouthpiece, probably should be registered foreign agent over here. They keep putting out these stories. There's no fighting between them. They're on the same page. They're in the same cult. More from confused Vance here, acting confused, playing the part.
These negotiations that you believe that people are not always acting in good faith. Have things changed over the past 36 hours during your meeting with Iran and the other mediaries?
No, all I mean is, look, whether good faith or bad faith, you can't trust anybody's words. You have to trust what they actually do. Letting in the inspectors is a big deal, but again, we're going to see what they actually let the.
Isn't that counter? Just trust the plan. Isn't that counter to idiot psyop narratives? Mr. Technocracy J.D. Vance said right there, you can't trust anybody's words. You have to trust what they actually do. You've been lied to it enough by Trump out there, MAGA? I know MAGAs are not watching our show, but man, talk about thick. Talk about thick, man. These people are thick. Everybody's fully aware that Iran will agree to have major weapons inspections in order to ensure nuclear honesty long into the future. Trump posted that earlier today on the anniversary of Operation Midnight Hammer, where they told us we destroyed Iran's nuclear capability. The intelligence community told in briefings to the White House and to the Senate that Iran was not an imminent nuclear threat to America before we launched the attack that killed their head guy, Supreme Leader Khomeini, like over 50 of their top dudes, killed 3,500 Iranian civilians, all for made up BS to please Shadow President Bibi, essentially here now. Iran unveils memorial for children killed in Minab school massacre. And again, this is a ritualistic blood sacrifice to kick off the Iran war. The head of Iran's Hamadan Municipality, Urban Landscape, and Green Spaces Organization announced the unveiling of a memorial, Minab Angels, honoring over 160 children killed in the U.S. strike on the Minab school at the opening of the Iran war. And the QBS, they're still pumping. We deserve way better psyops than this stupid ass shit. Here it is from the White House earlier today. White House will be Q posting today. And of course, it's got all the idiots that believe anonymous internet riddles all pumped. And by Q, we mean quantum. Stay tuned. Oh, it's so cute and funny. No, you guys are pieces of shit, man. They're running. Everybody should be. I'm freaking angry about this. Everybody should be. The White House is running military-grade psychological operations against the American people. You should be pissed off about it. Not, oh, they're the secret good guys and all this stupid bullshit. Here it is. Look, from the Department of War. Q, it's so cute and funny. Get your popcorn. Quantum dominance. Trump's literally the most corrupt presidential administration in history. And due to his corruption, the next one's even going to be that much more corrupt. They even took it to this level. This is from the White House. Always trust, they say. And they took it to this level, mimicking the original Q posts. America will be the world's leader in quantum technology. Make America great again. It's just F you, man. Seriously, F you, Trump, the entire government, your entire administration, all you fools, and everybody that follows this and pumps it all the time. F all you fools. Here it is again. Department of Energy. Quantum aura. As the Trump administration destroying what little credibility and political capital we had around the world, they're destroying it to bring in the new era, the new world order, the greater North America, our region of one world government. Yeah, these guys got it right. F Operation Trust 2.0 uncensored.ai posted this on the X. They say, what was Operation Trust and how does it compare to QAnon? Operation Trust was a Soviet counterintelligence operation from 1921 to 1927 that created a fake anti-Bolshevik resistance to convince real dissidents they didn't need to act because others had it handled. It promised the arrest of top Bolsheviks and the restoration of capitalism. QAnon mirrors this by telling followers the military is in control, PDFs are being arrested, and the plan is in place. Both create complacency through false hope, letting the system solidify while dissidents wait for a phantom savior. Indeed. And these evangelical Christian Zionists are running the same type of pacification stand down psyop on their flocks as well. So there's many of these stand down psyops. The good guys are in charge. No, the entire government is a freaking crime syndicate. And again, I don't care if you make Jesus Christ president, it's not going to make a damn difference. You understand? Damn, man. These people are so thick. They're rolling out technocracy in our face, and idiots cheer it on. So here it is. Here's the executive order, quantum technology. They're building technocracy, i.e. the greater North America, i.e. the mark of the beast digital slavery system.
Quantum technologies represents the next generation of innovation across computing, sensing, and networking with enormous significance for our country's economic growth, scientific research, and cyber security. It's really a big deal that we're doing today, and the country is doing really well, as you know. In 2018, I signed the National Quantum Initiative Act into law, which led to doubling the federal government investment in quantum research and development. I think you all know about that. That helped unleash billions of dollars of private investment in America's quantum industrial base, promoting significant scientific and technological progress like we've never seen before, actually. We want to keep that positive momentum going in America with the orders that I'm signing today, and these will really have place it a big step forward. We're already the leader by a lot, and we're going to be now the leader by a lot more. The first executive order launches a national effort to produce.
We have to put you in essentially a pod to be a battery to feed the surveillance data center bunker complex they're building out here now as they destroy the rest of the world. And so all of this to beat China. I got news for you. They're all in it together. What's going on Rumble? I'm seeing rumblings in the chat on Rumble. Are we on Rumble? Yeah, I don't know what's up with Rumble. Some bugs on the Rumble. Looks like we're live over there. Yeah, we're doing okay on Rumble. Yeah, maybe we just had some hiccups. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know what's up with Rumble. Sometimes they do have some over here on my end. It says we're streaming live on there right now, so I don't know. It's something on their end. Anyhow, thank you if you come on. If you're on Rumble and it works, thank you for tuning in. If you come over to the other channels, thank you for joining us on a channel that works. We got enough of them. One of them should work. All right, Howard Lutnick. Yeah, how the hell is Howard Lutnick still the Commerce Secretary? That in and of itself should tell you, yeah, the Patriots good guys are in control. You're as obtuse as a freaking blue-haired social justice warrior running around screaming, cut your penis off at this point. If you're a MAGA American flag waving idiot, you two, I see you all as the same idiots, obtuse morons. Here's Howard Lutnick announcing the United States government will fully implement Q quantum computing. Serious question. How is this world-class criminal Howard Lutnick still the Commerce Secretary?
I have the honor that John Martinez was a member of the Commerce Department at NIST, and he's a Nobel Prize winning alum, which is, if you don't think the people in the Commerce Department and in NIST are the best, I mean, here's an example. Nobel Prize winner who was part of our team. You all know that the government invested $2 billion just a couple of weeks ago in quantum to drive it forward. And besides investing in the companies, we've also invested in fabs to build quantum for others so we can manufacture these quantum in America. Now you have Ruth Porat from Alphabet. They are doing amazing investing in building quantum. And you have Arvind right next from IBM. We invested in his fab. He's got a leading fab, so he's going to be building those chips, right? So that's that idea. And then lastly, post-quantum cryptography, right? Once you have quantum chips, we've got to protect everyone in this government post-quantum cryptography. So NIST and the Department of Commerce is going to lead the charge to make sure all of us are protected and defended so we know how to deal with quantum when it comes. We're going to lead in quantum, and we're going to make sure we stay safe.
Yeah, so all of them in the government are protected. They're building the bunkers. They're building the slave systems. You and me, Joe Blow, we're hung out to dry after they piss off. And it's all by design, but they're going to piss them off to that point as well. We're working on pissing Russia off to the point they launch a full attack So they're going to piss Russia, China off to the point where they launch a major attack against us. All these assholes are going to be safe in their bunkers that they're building with our money. Go Q. And then when the next asshole gets in there, go blue hairs. Whatever idiot shit is the next psyop. It's just so tiresome and so idiotic at this point. The entire government is a crime syndicate. Again, I don't care who the hell you put there. Ushering in the next frontier of quantum innovation. I will post, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I did do a summary that we'll go through, but I'll post this Executive Order 14411. I'll post that, or you can search it up at the White House website there. I'll post it on Weaponized News Substack. Let's take a look at this. This Executive Order 14411, ushering in the next frontier of quantum innovation. This executive order builds on the 2018 National Quantum Innovation Act by directing a whole of government push. Anytime they say that, we're effed. Okay, when they start using this whole of government, whole of society language, you better believe it's friggin' full-on scientific dictatorship tyranny like we never seen before. Continuing here. A whole of government push to accelerate U.S. leadership in quantum information science and technology, QIST, with emphasis on commercialization, deployment of quantum computing, sensing, networking, domestic supply chains, workforce development, international alliances, and security protections. It establishes efforts like the quantum computer for application development and discovery sciences, updates the national quantum strategy, sets timelines for agency plans, prioritizes public-private partnerships, i.e. fascism, and expands counterintelligence via the FBI's QCPT team. On paper, it signals strategic ambition, framing quantum as essential for economic growth, jobs, and national security amid competition, especially from China. It promotes practical steps like standards, benchmarking, advanced market commitments, and allied coordination. However, the executive order exemplifies familiar pitfalls of top-down industrial policy in engaging tech, heavy reliance on federal coordination and taxpayer resources with ambitious but vague timelines, over optimism about near-term breakthroughs, notable emissions, particularly on post-quantum cryptography migration, risks of bureaucratic bloat, cronyism, and inefficiency, and insufficient grounding in the field's persistent technical and economic realities. They don't care when they got government backing. They don't care. It's a whole of government approach because it's scientific dictatorship, technocracy, you see. Continuing here. While quantum holds genuine long-term promise, this order risks channeling resources into hype-driven projects that may underdeliver, repeat past government tech initiative failures, coordination challenges, cost overruns, and distract from more immediate priorities. It leans towards centralized planning over pure market-driven innovation, potentially distorting private incentives in a field already plagued by exaggerated claims. We'll get to some of that. They did the rug pull on the SpaceX. We'll get to that in the economic section of the show. The executive order's aggressive deadlines fielding sensors by 2028, strategy updates in 180 days appear disconnected from the valley of death between lab prototypes and scalable fault-tolerant systems. Quantum computing in 2026 remains in an early utility hype transition phase. Impressive progress in error correction and quib bits exist, but practical, economically transformative applications are still years or decades away in most cases. And there's some more details. I won't bore you with it, but yeah, another con job into. See, they've already put it all under national security with government backing, and so it's baked into the cake here now, the build out of the technocracy. I thought we won the war, bro. They actually have the gall to celebrate. They have no shame at the Department of War, as we know here. The 1-year anniversary of Midnight Hammer today. Wow, we blew up Iran's nuclear program. That's why we're still trying to figure out how to have peace with them, right? Vice President Vance highlights major progress from U.S.-Iran talks in Switzerland, including a key milestone. Iran has agreed to invite the IAEA inspectors back into its country, the first step toward permanently ending a nuclear weapons program. Total bullshit. Iran's Ghalibaf, Speaker of the Parliament there in Iran, had this to say about these meetings over the weekend. In the middle of the discussions, I learned that Trump made threatening remarks regarding our president, the negotiating team, and possible attacks on our territory. I told Vance, we are here engaging in talks, and according to the signed understanding, the first clause states that there should be no threats or coercion. Yet today, your president has issued threats. Understand that we never negotiate under threats or pressure. We ended the negotiations, left the meeting, and did not return. This was at the very beginning of the whole thing to kick it off in good faith from Trump and all these clowns. The American side sought another meeting through the mediators, but we refused. The Qatari and Pakistani mediators then came to us, and we told them that we would speak with them, but not with the American side directly. The outcome of these discussions and the 80-minute negotiations was the statement later released by Pakistan Qatari side. I think we do have that statement. A little more from Ghalibaf. He said, God willing, Lebanon's national sovereignty over its entire territory will reach a final resolution in these talks. And until it does, we will not abandon them. And here's the statement released, joint statement released by the state of Qatar and Pakistan in regard to all of this ridiculousness. Can we get serious when we're trying to negotiate peace? Trump obviously cannot. A joint statement by the state of Qatar and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan regarding the conclusion of Lake Lakurn Summit, first high-level committee meeting with participation of United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran, the first session of high-level talks under the framework of the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding have concluded in Bergenstock, Switzerland, with the participation of representatives from the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, and the two mediating parties, the state of Qatar and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. The Lake Lakurn Summit was conducted in a positive and constructive atmosphere. Encouraging progress has been made, including the creation of a mechanism for further technical talks, building on the MOU, the parties have agreed to the establishment of high-level committee, which will provide political oversight on the mediation. Chief negotiators will report regularly to the high-level committee and lead working groups focused on nuclear sanctions and monitoring and dispute resolution group to ensure the effective implementation of MOU. And on other matters, the high-level committee has agreed upon a roadmap towards reaching a final deal within 60 days, laying the foundation for immediate commencement of further technical talks. In addition, a communication line between the parties has been formed for a period mentioned in paragraph 5 of the MOU to avoid incidents or miscommunication, with the aim of safe passage for commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. Moreover, the parties agree on the creation of Deconfliction cell between the parties and the Lebanese Republic, and facilitated by the mediators to ensure the adherence to the termination of military operations in Lebanon as per the MOU. Technical talks will continue for the remainder of the week at the Bergenstock Resort on all issues. The mediating parties will continue to do their utmost to ensure that the negotiations continue to be conducted in a constructive atmosphere with the aim of reaching a final goal. The state of Qatar and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan express their sincere appreciation to the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran for their ongoing commitment to diplomacy and a peace resolution to the conflict. The mediating parties further commend brotherly and friendly countries for their continued support and valuable contribution to the ongoing negotiations. But Aardvark land, the big problem, is not part of any of this, and they've said as much, and we'll get to that. Oh, here's cats. Aardvark land Defense Minister Kat says the IDF has full freedom of action to operate decisively against any threat. Our soldiers will continue to thwart threats and destroy terrorist infrastructure in the area. Translation to sane people is they're going to continue the ethnic cleansing and demolition of southern Lebanon as per usual to build out the greater Aardvark land project. So literally nothing there has changed. Netanyahu, Shadow President of America, says the directive from me and the Minister of Defense to the IDF is clear and has not changed. Our forces in southern Lebanon have full freedom of action to thwart any direct or emerging threat against them or against the residents of the north. The IDF faces no restrictions in this regard. I stand behind them, and the entire nation stands behind them. I remain firm in my position that we will stay in the security zone in southern Lebanon for as long as necessary in order to protect the residents of the north and all citizens of the state of Aardvark land. So, translation, they're keeping the stolen land and just staying in the security zone for a minute, and they're going to continue northern. Okay, we'll come back to more of this insanity in the geopolitical section of the show. On to national politics. It's become a debacle. I do agree with this, but again, it begs the question, where were you guys? How does anybody have a job? It's intentional failure. So we have de facto martial law there in D.C. We've had it for a while. Now we have National Guard guarding the reflecting pool. So a great use of resources. We're making D.C. safe and beautiful. And so this is all good. They fixed 1,695 lights, 1,143 benches rehabbed, installed, 500 instances of graffiti cleaned up, 250 truckloads of debris hauled off, 152 homeless encampments removed, 105.5 tons of pothole repaired materials, 134 rat-resistant trash cans installed, I don't know if the junta virus will like that, but at odds with public health there in DC. 45 monuments and memorials cleaned, 28 statues cleaned, 28 fountains repaired, 6 statues installed there, making DC safe and beautiful. Is this bad run down? How does anybody in the local government or whoever's in charge before the feds took over, how do any of them have a job? Seriously, it's that bad and that much of disrepair and run down. How does local city government, their council, because they're weird, right? They're not a state, they're a district, right? So there are local quote authorities paid very well to do maintenance on the city and allowed it to fall into utter disrepair now. So the feds can come in and say they're big heroes. Well, now you have martial law, and why does no one whose responsibility it was face any consequences for this complete and utter failure? I think we know why, because that's the government's job to fail you at every single level. Vandalism of statues, fountains, and landmarks in our nation's capital is unacceptable. The reflecting pool is being taken care of ASAP. And so now we get into all this ridiculousness. On of the many statues and fountains that we rebuilt, renovated, cleaned, and fixed, the only one that was vandalized was the reflecting pool. Oh, just wait. I'm sure they'll be around to vandalize the rest. It has been given a 300-foot long gash. That's Trump's claim. Chemicals have been illegally placed in the water, and the beautiful new grass field has been destroyed with a gigantic 8647 chemically carved into it, probably inspired by dirty cop James Comey. That's what Trump added there. The reflecting pool. And so now that 5 people have been arrested for alleged vandalism on the reflecting pool.
Anyone who was in a position of vandalizing or attempting to vandalize the reflecting pool will face the criminal justice system in D.C. Look, the president has made it a priority to make D.C. not only safe but beautiful. And there are several citations that have been handed out to individuals, and these are cases that will be prosecuted to the full extent. If there are more serious products that are put into the reflecting pool to create more algae or a bigger problem, then we'll consider more serious charges. But
so ridiculous. At least 5 people. This is NBC News reports. At least 5 people arrested in alleged tampering with reflecting pool. Officials say. Trump repeated his claim. I think we do have the post here. Where's the post? Here's this ridiculousness in a Team Algae protest is back at the reflecting pool. Better watch out, Team Algae. They'll put your ass in a FEMA camp over this.
Let's grow, algae. Let's grow. Woo! Let's grow, algae. Let's grow. Woo!
Team Algae protesting at the reflecting pool. Here's Trump on the vandals at the reflecting pool.
Beautiful color, beautiful everything. You could never get anything like that. We're going to be able to do it for about 1.8 million, and it's going to take 1 week. It's going to be something very special, and it's going to be a beautiful color. I'm using swimming pool material. It's going to be blue, beautiful blue, which is what they always wanted. Everybody's looking at that reflecting pool. They can't believe it. Reflects. We used a dark blue. It's called American flag blue.
I mean, this is why it's an embarrassing moment for him, because he has boasted about this so much. He could have been, it's
beautiful.
Here's a report by NBC News. President Trump is blaming vandals for the problems at the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. ABC News takes a deeper look at it.
So more than $16 million in taxpayer dollars have been spent renovating the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool. But just days after that project finished, the water is turning green and the brand new coating is already peeling off the floor. Now, Trump says the pool has to be partially drained to fix this, and he's blaming vandals for the deterioration without providing any evidence. Now, an administration official tells us that as of last night, 5 individuals have been arrested for vandalism. I spoke to a 3-time U.S. Olympian who tells me that he was arrested after he touched a piece of the lining that was floating in the water. He tells me, quote, "I did not remove, I did not damage, I did not rip, tear, break, destroy, or harm any part of the reflecting pool." He also tells me that he was held for 5 hours before being released and charged with destruction of government property. The companies that renovated the pool, they were awarded these no-bid contracts worth nearly $15 million, despite having virtually no federal experience doing these federal contracts. Trump also originally said that this renovation project would cost $1.5 million and take 2 weeks. It has now cost more than $16 million and taken 3 months.
Here's Trump's post about it. Of the many statues and fountains that we rebuilt, renovated, cleaned, and fixed, the only one that was vandalized was the reflecting pool, which is being taken care of ASAP. It has been given a 300-foot long gash. Chemicals have been illegally placed in the water, and the beautiful new grass field has been destroyed with a gigantic 8647 chemically carved into it, probably inspired by dirty cop James Comey. Please remember that there is a 10-year prison sentence for destruction or even the attempted destruction of such things, which will be fully enforced. So it's martial law there now, with a heavy police and National Guard presence at the reflecting pool. So now men with guns are patrolling the reflecting pool. And if that wasn't enough police presence, they've now rolled out mobile surveillance towers. And I did see some helicopter patrols as well. Here's the surveillance towers.
See with your eyes. It looks like it, yeah. Wow. Is this just gonna do laps? Do you know? Can you answer that? That's all right. New to we.
There you go. So full on martial law police state there in DC for America 250, celebrating our independence. Freedom 250. Let's hear now from interim acting Secretary of Labor Keith Sonderling, celebrating America 250.
America is a nation of achievers, and this July 4th, we are celebrating the ultimate triumph, 250 years of the American spirit. I am personally inviting you to the National Mall for the Salute to America celebration on July 4th in Washington, D.C. Join us for
I wouldn't trust a damn thing these feds roll out for you. For all we know, they'll set you up, man. Here's little Marco Rubio. Secretary of State. Strangely enough, not a real major part, at least publicly, of Iran peace talks.
In the summer of 1776, a small group of patriots signed a document that defied an empire and forever changed the course of the world. I am personally inviting you to the National Mall for the Salute to America celebration on July 4th in Washington, D.C. We are coming together to honor that sacred heritage with a night of world-class music, entertainment, and a record-breaking fireworks display that will light up the sky. Come celebrate the American miracle and the future we are building together. Register for your free ticket.
Feels like a setup to me. I wouldn't do it, but yeah, you can get your free tickets at freedom250.org. I wouldn't trust these feds with literally anything. They'll set your ass up just like they did the J6ers, going by recent history, and dupe idiots on the internet. They set you up all day. And so they can't get anyone to even perform there. Trump is so toxic. Anybody of any big celebrity standing. So now the Great American State Fair kicks off. America is back, headlined by President Donald J. Trump. See, he's an actor in the WWE Hall of Fame. It's all fake and gay this Pride Month. Very sad state of affairs here in America. The only actor they could find was Trump to headline America 250 kickoff of the Great American State Fair. Probably, yeah, Trump's more divisive than even Obama was. So there you go. And the next guy or gal or them, they, whoever it may be, will be even more divisive as per design because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Anglo-American establishment throwing aardvark land as well there. Same old tricks, divide and conquer, balkanization. We're fighting with each other about American flags and blue hair, and they're stealing as much as they possibly can, building out technocracy, high-tech surveillance police state. We got technocracy news here a little bit. Let's take our live commercial break now, and we'll come back with an announcement from Space Force. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Monday. Apologies if there's some glitches out there on the Rumble. Not on my end, so it's on Rumble end. But thank you for joining us on this Monday. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. We just covered hardcore news, except for the stupid reflecting pool there about world peace. All commercial free for an hour. So give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. I appreciate it. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com/shop. Get yourself a holograph sticker over there for Pride Month. All the colors of the rainbow. You can see right there. If you don't want to celebrate that, we have the white background and the clear background. Weaponizednews.com/shop. We have the 3 stickers over there. We have some baseball caps, coffee mugs, t-shirts, shot glasses. As I see Karen in the chat, we should give the warning now. This show may induce heavy bouts of alcohol abuse. Weaponizednews.com/shop. Get yourself a shot glass over there. We take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App, links all in the description below this video. Become a paid subscriber of Weaponized News Substack. Over there, the show's streaming live now. You'll get the full show, a summary of the show, and links to almost everything we talk about for documentation and further research purposes. Sometimes we get real deep down the rabbit hole on this show. So all of that is there for you at Weaponized News Substack. Become a paid subscriber. Appreciate the patrons of the store, the paid subscribers, and the donors. Any which way you choose to support us is truly appreciated. Support independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week, broadcasting live 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern time on all of the channels. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Monday edition. Give me that like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Welcome back on this June 22nd, 2026 edition. Space Force. And this is via Simon sent me this link. Space Force is integrated into nearly everything we do. The whole of government approach. as they keep telling us here now. Here's the post. Space is integrated into nearly everything we do. At the School of Advanced Air and Space Studies, Air University develops airmen and guardians to think critically about strategic competition and the future of space power. It's all one big giant fraud scam. Telling you guys. Here's the announcement from U.S. Space Force. United States Space Force. Space supports nearly every aspect of modern military operations: navigation, communications, missile warning, and intelligence collection all rely on capabilities operating far above the Earth. As competitors expand their capabilities and commercial companies reshape the domain, military leaders are being challenged to think differently about deterrence, risk, and the role space plays in future conflict. All a giant black hole of money laundering and fraud, as we're now in a Cold War against China, the new space race to put men on the moon again. And so, a never-ending black hole of money laundering and fraud. We do appreciate the efforts out of the Space Force. Technocracy Inc. Back to the 1930s, they're building all this on this idea. In the 1930s, Technocracy Inc. proposed a hypothetical North American superstate called the Technate. They've now rebranded it, per the Department of War, the Greater North America. It's the same program with modern adjustments. Under this model, the organization did not advance the government own all cars. Instead, their blueprint proposed abolishing private ownership of vehicles entirely. Key aspects of Technate's transportation model include the transit fleet. Transportation would be a public utility. Citizens would not buy or own vehicles. Instead, they would use a massive fleet of publicly controlled cars that were available on demand, i.e., Teslas, i.e., total control, i.e., if it was determined you had a hateful aardvark post, well, the doors are locked and now you're gassed. There you go. And as you scream 6 million, you fade off being gassed in your public transportation, essentially deathbed, suicide pod. Universal access by logging their needs into a continental network. Citizens would have unlimited free access to transit, similar to borrowing a library book today. Standardization. The Technocracy movement heavily publicized their plan to paint all public vehicles an identical regulation gray color to emphasize efficiency over personal status. And that was a post by Hackable Animal. Trying to get that guy on the show, but he's kind of like done with it. He lives in the hills of West Virginia, and he says he's pretty much done with it. I was talking to him, but didn't seem high priority for him to come back and start doing some shows again. Anyhow, he still posts now and again. The core philosophy, science of social engineering, championed primarily by Howard Scott, the self-styled chief engineer of Technocracy Inc. The movement argued that human behavior could be directly and safely governed by manipulating the physical environment rather than passing moral laws or relying on democratic politics. Instead of appealing to human nature, Scott argued the system should be engineered to make certain behaviors impossible or illogical, i.e., Brave New World. The trolley car parable. To illustrate the science of social engineering, technocrats famously pointed to the example of a trolley car or railway carriage. The problem In early society, warning signs and laws were used to prevent passengers from standing on the open platforms of moving railway cars, which led to injuries. The engineering solution, instead of relying on police, conductors, or the passengers' moral compliance, engineers redesigned the physical platform itself with gates and physical barriers. The result, the environment forced the correct behavior, making accidents impossible regardless of the passenger's intent. Scott and his followers applied the same logic to entire nations. They believe that by scientifically mapping the exact energy requirements of society, experts could design physical systems that guaranteed abundance, minimized human conflict, and abolished monetary debt in favor of energy certificates, i.e., silent weapons for quiet wars, i.e., technocracy, i.e., the greater North America. Palantir is proud to support U.S. Army's next generation of command and control. And so that's a post by Palantir. You can see it right here on their X. And then they put out this press release, which may or may not be loading, but there you go. And here's their press release from Palantir secures foundational role in NGC2 data layer. Palantir, a global leader in artificial intelligence and data platforms, today welcomed the U.S. Army's announcement that it has established the next generation command and control data layer baseline. Palantir is proud to support the Army, its commanders, and soldiers as they modernize command and control with a data-driven approach built to scale across the force. And so that is what Doge did, is they put Palantir there. Palantir's Foundry operating system to make tyranny much more efficient for the inefficient federal government. Palantir has been a trusted technology partner on NGC2 since its earliest experimentation and prototyping phases, embedded with soldiers and industry partners through every stage of development and field validation. Today's announcement underscores the enduring partnership and the Army's commitment to delivering capabilities shaped by soldier feedback in the field and real-world mission demands. The Army has now established the foundational data architecture for NGC2, its highest priority modernization program, built on Palantir's Foundry as the cloud data layer and Anduril's Lattice as the tactical data layer. This common baseline is designed to enable rapid scaling and seamless impenetrability across the NGC2 ecosystem as the program moves from prototyping to delivery across additional Army formations. What a freaking nightmare. All of this is, they're rolling out on us. They're rolling it all out on us right now. AI models that can take down governments and businesses months away. Rare Five Eyes statement warns, report out of the UK Guardian, signal agencies in Australia, America, UK, New Zealand, and Canada sound alarm after Trump blocks foreign nationals from Anthropic's Fable AI model. Powerful AI models capable of taking down governments and businesses are a mere few months away. I'm surprised they didn't say 2 weeks, bro. A mere few weeks away. Cyber intelligence agencies from the Five Eyes, that's the bastards that skate our Fourth Amendment here, and our own corrupt government allowing them to do it. I can't go into the details. UK spies on us, and we have no Fourth Amendment and whatever privacy protections in UK their citizens have. US spies on them, gives the information to the government. F you and your natural rights, essentially, because these are tyrannical, evil bastards. not keeping you safe. The government can't and won't keep you safe. The surprising public intervention by signals agencies for Australia, America, UK, New Zealand, and Canada comes after Trump administration earlier this month decided to block foreign nationals from using a much hyped AI model built by tech company Anthropic called Fable. The statement issued earlier today or late Monday Sydney time said, while AI would help us improve cyber defense over time, it also accelerates the speed, scale, and sophistication of cyber threats. Direct quote from Five Eyes. Frontier AI models are anticipated to exceed current industry expectations, fundamentally transforming both offensive and defensive cyber capabilities. The timeline is not years, it's just months. The warning by Five Eyes agency said, in this environment, cyber resilience is integral to advancing business continuity, market confidence, and long-term value. A whole of organization and whole of society response is required. The statement continued. We're getting it all today. Whole of organization, whole of government, and whole of society response. Again, when they start using this language, watch out, because they're coming down hard with the tyranny. You see, and a whole lot of propaganda and lies to back it up. And so we've seen all three of those statements today here now going through the news. Whole of government, whole of organization, and whole of society response. Watch out. Red alert, red alert, red alert. Watch out. They're getting ready to crank up some serious tyranny here now on us, all in the name of public safety and the fake Cold War against the Chinese. Maybe there is a real Cold War against the Chinese. Senate Select Committee on China's warning about this. Unitree G1 humanoid robot is on sale for $18,000 essentially here now. Unitree was recently designated as a Chinese military company, and its products are a threat to our national security. Yet here it is on Amazon selling for $17,990. We need Chairman, who's that, Moreland's Guard Act to stop this threat and support American robotics. But how could Amazon, they're great sponsors of America 250, how could they be selling a national security threat humanoid Chinese robot Unitree G1 on Amazon? How could that be? We're told by Amazon 250 they love America. A new store in Hong Kong has one human employee, just a single humanoid robot. So that's very lovely. Now a new company popping up in Hong Kong is hoping to endear customers and crank up the novelty factor by having the whole thing run by a single humanoid robot. Inside FBI's 22,000 square foot fake town for cyber war training. The FBI has revealed a 22,000 square foot fake town it uses for cyber war training. The FBI's kinetic cyber range in Huntsville, Alabama resembles a small town. The FBI has revealed a 22,000 square foot fake town it used for cyber training. The indoor facility features realistic real-world buildings, including grocery store, hotel, courthouse, and gas station. There are also fully furnished homes, a power company, a video game arcade, and a data center running 200 servers. Surveillance center. running 200 servers. The FBI said the technical training environment is designed to prepare agents, analysts, and forensic specialists for investigations that increasingly involve digital evidence. Each space is wired with functioning systems, networks, and devices designed to behave as they would in the real world. Since opening last year, the facility has trained more than 1,400 students, including FBI personnel and partners from the agency. And so that's very exciting. So remember, all this training, whole of government approach, cyber Polygon sitting there in the background as well, a major cyber attack to be launched by our friends at the World Economic Forum, BlackRock, and the U.S. Federal government, of course, all backed up by the FBI, keeping us safe at their fake city here now for a whole of government approach to national security. Again, the government can't and won't keep you safe. California police are using drones to disarm people and make arrests. Report out of the SF Gate. In a nationwide first, police officers used a drone to intercept a weapon from an armed suspect, signaling a potential shift in local law enforcement operations. California officials announced earlier today in a video released today. Sacramento County Sheriff's posted on its Instagram page an officer wearing goggles can be seen operating a drone to retrieve a knife from an armed suspect hiding inside a cluttered house. And I do believe we have that video here now. Rolling out the Terminator systems, all for public safety, of course. Of course, the classic Mission Impossible music there probably get tagged for copyright. Government just, it's a whole government approach. They own everything. They never get in trouble for copyright. First in the nation, disarming a suspect with a drone. And yeah, that all looks well and good, right? They always soft sell the tyranny to us, and they've started rolling it out today in Sacramento, California. Soft selling. What are you want that cop to get stabbed? No, bro. Well, the Terminators went and disarmed that knife suspect. They will become fully autonomous weaponized systems in the very near future. You don't need to worry about any of that. Public safety. That sheriff didn't get stabbed. Oh, I see. Clive Davis, big Zionist PDF criminal, music mogul, died today at the age of 94. We're told that he's a genius, mega music mogul. I see him more as a social engineer, destroying American culture and brainwashing the youth. But this article from Showbiz 411 says, R.I.P. Clive Davis, 94, genius, mega music mogul with golden ears legacy, from Janis Joplin to Whitney, Springsteen, Simon and Garfunkel, Patti Smith, and more. And so he's credited with discovering. None of these stories are true. It's all made up hype, but this is the stories they publicly tell, because all this music industry is part of social engineering, mind control of the public. But they tell us here that Clive Davis discovered Janis Joplin at the Monterey Music Festival. And he discovered other great acts like Miles Davis, Santana, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Simon and Garfunkel, Bruce Springsteen, and Bob Dylan, who's famously admitted he sold his soul to the devil. And we played videos of him campaigning, trying to raise funds for the Habat Aardvark Supremacist outfit. So about one and the same there. Here is Diddy. He was also P. Diddy's mentor. Clive Davis trained Diddy, which in turn allowed him to groom artists like Usher and Justin Bieber for power and control. Some people have suggested that it was Clive Davis who used his connections to seize blackmail tapes that Diddy had on powerful people, just like the real Epstein files. The Diddy tapes have disappeared. It's all a big mystery. No, he's part of he was a major part of the dark occultist satanic underbelly there of the music industry.
P. Diddy.
What?
P. Diddy. Diddy.
Puppy. His status is puppy.
What do you make of that situation? No comment from Clive Davis on P. Diddy. Mr. Davis, you were a major influence on the career of P. Diddy. Have you spoken to him since the federal raid? Yes. Have you spoken to Sean Combs? Any comment, Mr. Davis? Any comments about Diddy? He credits you as one of his mentors.
No comment there from Clive Davis, one of P. Diddy's mentors. Alan Dershowitz to sit for House Oversight interview on Epstein. Epstein's attorney there. Here he is saying the Aardvarks created America. That's the new talking point they've been running with for the past couple of weeks. Of course, all the founding fathers had their little hats on when they signed the Constitution.
The ambassador, who's also a Republican, said, well, you might say that America let Israel survive, but it's Jews who created America. And he goes through, how much of America was based on the Torah, how the original symbol of the United States proposed by Benjamin Franklin was Moses parting the sea, that, many of the original symbols of America come from the Bible. And there are many references to the Bible in the early writings of American patriots. I quote some of them in my.
There's such wicked liars. The Epstein factor and Keir Starmer's resignation as UK Prime Minister. Also, the estimated 250,000 rape inquiry report there. Also part of, I'm sure, pressure. Well, Starmer played his role. Now he's out. We'll cover that. In the geopolitical section, Emma Catherine says on the X, everybody should follow her. She does great work interviewing the victims of MK Ultra and SRA abuse. She says it's crazy how everyone stopped talking about the Epstein files all of a sudden Trump launched a major war against Iran, which I do believe in large part was one of the goals of that war, to distract attention away from the Epstein files. She goes on to say, this is why the parasitic PDF cultist class treat humanity like sheep. They know they can share their most diabolical things they do to our children. Watch us react with outrage, then bring us the NBA Finals and the World Cup, and we're back to eating bread at the circuses as if nothing happened. We need to do better. Indeed, we continue to report out of duty here now about the Epstein files every day since they've been released. The latest tranche. Let's watch this report out of the UK Courier.
Melania's bizarre 6-minute statement last week, denying her connection to Jeffrey Epstein, sparked internet rumors that were soon a breaking story the Trump administration was hoping to get in front of. In her interview with Courier, her first interview with an English language media outlet, Amanda Ungaro answered some of our most pressing questions. Ungaro says her story began when she was just 15 years old, when she first met Paolo Zampoli, a businessman with deep ties to both Donald and Melania Trump. She says he pursued her relentlessly, eventually pulling her into a relationship that would define and control her life. According to Ungaro, Zampoli was an operator in the modeling underworld, someone who arranged visas, managed models, and moved people through powerful networks behind the scenes. Through him, she met Melania and Epstein and Donald Trump. Ungaro says Zampoli had ties to Jeffrey Epstein, although he denies this, and that he acted as a recruiter of young women like her. She also suggests that stories about relationships within this circle, including Melania's, were shaped by influence and long-term planning. Ungaro describes years of alleged abuse, psychological, physical, and sexual. She claims she was surveilled, followed, and controlled. She says their home was filled with hidden devices, and that her life became something closer to captivity than partnership. In public, she was close to the most powerful people in America. Zampoli was so tight with Trump that the couple sat at the Trump table at both inaugurations and spent holidays with the Trump family, attended events at the White House and gatherings at Mar-a-Lago. But that proximity to power did not help when Ungaro says Zampoli had her deported to Brazil and separated from her son. She is caught in an ongoing legal battle. She says Melania ignored her plea for help, and she says she's willing to testify before Congress. Melania's 6-minute statement may have been an attempt to shut something down, but it also might have revealed the weak link in the Epstein cover-up.
They're saying Paolo Zampoli introduced Melania to Donald via a party in New York, Kit Kat party in the late 1990s. I remember it was Thursday or Friday. I went off on a rant. I was like, yeah, really, dude? But yeah, here's Trump saying it. We read the headline, "No limit to presidential power."
What have you learned about not just the exercise of power, but the limits on your power as a result of the conflict?
There are no limits.
No limit.
No, not. I haven't learned that lesson yet. I know there are, but there are no limits.
There are no limits. Was that Rugga saying? Palantir, yeah, Google, IBM, yeah. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of these companies keeping us safe for national security. The best economy ever here. President Trump says the U.S. has the best economy ever with record jobs numbers and stock market, both totally rigged BS data, like the entire economy. Over here on Main Street, the inflation is quite horrific. They're busting the fraudsters, though. Acting Attorney General here, and then we'll put it in some perspective. for you. They busted $5 billion in fraud.
Let's talk about some of the fraud that's going on across the country. We're talking about, in one case, $1.2 billion. I know you guys have in the Department of Justice an attorney general that strictly focuses on that. Y'all got this person. They were hiding.
They should have got somebody to, they should have an office to focus on the Federal Reserve. The Blanche said, this posted by the White House, we are making getting fraudsters in jail a priority. Just in the past 2 months, we've managed to bring back $5 billion to the coffers of the U.S. government that was stolen by these fraudsters. And we're keeping it going with Howard Lutnick as the Commerce Secretary. And to put that, oh yeah, we're cracking down on fraud. We care about the physical health of the U.S. economy. No, it turns out when you look at it, that's about 2 days of interest payments on the national debt, $5 billion. $5 billion the Justice Department is saving getting these fraudsters is 2 days of interest payments on the national debt, to put it in perspective about all this bullshit that they continue to feed us. Here's and again, if Trump was Mr. Q that was draining the swamp and getting the bad guys, first thing he would do as president is march down there with the military, the U.S. Marshals, to J.P. Morgan Chase office and arrest Jamie Dimon. That did not and will never happen because he's all part of this same evil system.
Unfortunately, I'm always an optimist, but unfortunately, I'm pessimistic. I'm pessimistic that we're going to solve our debt problem until there's a crisis. You know, I hope it's a mild crisis, but it will happen one day. You know, have the bond vigilantes will be back, and everyone will act surprised, and we'll have to do something.
And we'll act surprised. It's all engineered at some time, probably in the near future. In the near future here now, the bankers are going to rug the entire economy, but hey, they'll be there because they've engineered the entire thing. You see, at the ripe old age of 100 years old, did he get some life extension technology? I don't know. Pretty high up. Alan Greenspan sold out his early libertarian sound money roots to go ahead and be corrupted by the central bank cartel, and they made him chairman of the Federal Reserve. Dead at age 100. Old Kissinger lived to be 100 too. So it seems if you're high up in the evil cartel and done a lot of evil for him, you get to live to be 100, it seems. Here's Alan Greenspan basically saying the Federal Reserve is above the government. Here now. Because again, it's not federal, has no reserves, and is not the government, but yet it sets monetary policy controlling our economy in this country.
What is the proper relationship? What should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter. And I've had very good relationships with presidents.
And another one, who cares about debt? Because they just print the money. And of course, that begs the question, why the F do we pay taxes? Well, obviously, it's not for the the roads, schools, and bridges, as we're told. It's to make us poorer. Here's Greenspan saying they all will just print more money to pay the debt.
Are U.S. Treasury bonds still safe to invest in?
Very much so. I think this is not an issue of credit rating. The United States can pay any debt it has because we can always print money to do that. So there is zero.
Dude, who's that? Goolsbee, I think he's a Fed governor. It's like, you're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to say that, but he said it. And so there you go. We do appreciate the candor from a now deceased Alan Greenspan. Sold his soul to the devil, sadly enough. There. Google, we had some Google news here, Ruckus. Google is investing around $75 million in independent movie studio A24 as part of a new artificial intelligence research partnership. Google's DeepMind AI unit and A24 are aiming to create new tools for movie production and distribution. So some more AI slop. Isn't it so wonderful? SpaceX, and this was earlier today, it even got worse. Let's get to this. SpaceX has signed a $6.3 billion compute agreement with Reflection AI, worth $150 million per month from July 2026 through 2029, according to CNBC. And then it's even worse than this, but here's your rug pull. We warned you about this at Weaponized News because anybody following it could tell you this is exactly what was going to happen, and it did happen today. Elon Musk SpaceX falls 10.5%. This was this morning. It fell even worse than this, erasing $250 billion from its market cap today. It's even... It fell even worse than that as retail investors' exit liquidity went goodbye. And so at the end of the day, at the end of the business day, it actually turns out SpaceX shed $400 billion in market value as per design here now. As per design. Senate to advance housing bill to limit private equity purchases of single-family homes. CNBC reports. Bank of America says it expects the Federal Reserve to hike rates at least 3 times this year. We only got half the year left. I don't know how. So Bank of America predicts. Goldman Sachs predicts that there's only a 15% chance of recession now, scaling back their previous 25% chance prediction of recession. It's recession depression over here on Main Street. You got the fake jobs numbers. You got the fake stock market for Joe Blow, you and I. I guess gas is below $4. But yeah, it's rough out here. Inflation, what do they tell us? It's whatever they tell us, they're lying, and you could multiply it by 4-fold at least. 47% of global fund managers expect a, quote, soft landing. The Bank of America says. There's no Iran peace deal even yet. You know what I mean? This thing could kick off at any time. Hot and heavy again. The level of investment into data centers globally may soon make it necessary for insurers involved to begin selling securitization products to spread the risk among a broader pool of investors, according to Zurich Insurance Group, AG. You know it. You know it. Again, it's back to the same old privatize the gains, socialize the losses. Too big to fail, too big to jail. They're running a giant scam fraud, racketeering operation with a whole of government approach. Here's David Rogers Webb commenting on the fact that you have no private property, as they keep telling us they're going to tokenize everything.
It would be a surprise to people, I'm sure most people, to know that they no longer have property rights. They have something that is an appearance of a property right. At the end of a cycle like this, when the money is no longer driving real economic beneficial activity, as we see, it goes into financialization and into warfare. This is the threat we all face, creating such dire conditions that people will have no alternative. There will be no parallel system to which they can resort. So they will be forced to accept the central bank digital currency. Ultimately, there is no place to hide from this. It just has to be stopped.
And they're lying and saying there is no central bank digital currency. They're pushing through the Clarity Act right now. So we will have central bank digital currency. They won't call it by that name. Here's J.D. Vance on Jared Kushner.
Jared Kushner actually came up with a very interesting solution with the Qataris, where basically, again, if there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people. And as much as I see some of the press misreporting on this, and of course, buttressed by what the Iranians are saying, or not all Iranians, I want to be clear, there are a lot of Iranians who are telling the truth about what happened yesterday, but you see some social media reporting that gets this wrong. But fundamentally, what Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people. That's a very, very good and very classic Trump deal. That's great for
classic racketeering. They're trying to say that the frozen Iranian assets can only be used to buy American agricultural products. That's classic racketeering. The Treasury Department grants Iran a temporary license, effectively waiving sanctions, allowing the sale of Iranian oil until August 21st. Here's that announcement by the Treasury Department. Fueling the Iranian war machine as they're reloading here now. U.S. issues sanctions waiver for Iranian oil sales as Tehran records export boom. Huh? I thought we won the war. No, not so much. Not so much. But we are trying to run a racketeering operation on Iranian frozen funds. We are trying to run that operation. We'll see how that sorts out as we move on here. Euro struggles despite roadmap for U.S.-Iran agreement. The euro remained near 3-month lows against the dollar despite progress in U.S.-Iran negotiations as expectations of tighter U.S. monetary policy continued to bolster the dollar, i.e. we probably will see some interest rate increases here now in the second half of this year from the Federal Reserve. Had criminal Trump here running the racketeering operation.
Also, and it came up last night, is money that's being unfrozen is going to be used to buy food, and the food's going to be bought exclusively through the United States from our farmers. Also,
Can the Department of Justice bring a RICO case against Trump? They should. The strait's totally open. Is it? And they're never going to lay off the Iran's going to nuke us rhetoric that's already been thoroughly debunked.
We have an oil gusher. The strait is totally open. You know that. And we're negotiating. We'll see how that all goes. But we have two things. We have an open strait, and we have a country that will never have a nuclear weapon. Will never, ever have a nuclear weapon.
Khomeini's in charge. It's questionable what transit through the strait is at this point. And again, all of Trump's Iran nuke claims have been debunked by our own intelligence community. Now in the economic section, I thought we'd play this report from Greg Reese, 250 years of taxation in America. Never forget, taxation's theft. As Alan Greenspan said, they just print more money to pay the debt. Why do we pay taxes? Again, to make us poorer. Not for any government service or any other BS that they try to sell us.
The Stamp Act of 1765 was the first direct tax levied by Parliament on the colonies, which had no elected representatives in Parliament to approve or debate it. British Parliament later stated in the Declaratory Act that they had full power and authority to make laws and statutes of sufficient force and validity to bind the colonies and people of America in all cases whatsoever. According to the story, the American Revolution wasn't about the size of the tax. It was about the right of Britain to impose taxes on the colonists without their consent. From 1868 to 1913, 90% of federal tax revenue came from alcohol and tobacco taxes. In 1909, President Taft recommended that Congress propose a constitutional amendment to give the government power to tax incomes without apportioning the burden. In 1913, the Federal Reserve Bank was established. Along with it came the ratification of the 16th Amendment, which gave what many court cases show to be undue power to the Internal Revenue Service. This includes case law that was withheld from IRS employee training, such as Stanton versus Baltic Mining Company. Bill Benson's findings, published in The Law That Never Was, make a case that the 16th Amendment was not legally ratified and that the Secretary of State committed fraud when he declared it so in 1913. The 1913 Form 1040 shows that only those with annual incomes of at least $3,000 were instructed to file an income tax return, the equivalent to approximately $98,000 in 2025. And only about 3% of the population was subject to the income tax. In the years following the Great Depression, taxes were raised from about 1/10 of a person's income to 1/3. And during World War II, the taxpayer base was expanded from 4 million people to 42 million. The current Tax Payment Act of 1943 required employers to withhold federal income tax from an employee's paycheck each pay period and send the payment directly to the IRS. There is no statute in the Internal Revenue Code that clearly makes the average American wage earner liable to file a 1040 or pay income tax on their labor. In the Code of Federal Regulations, 26 CFR Section 601.602 states explicitly the tax system is based on voluntary compliance. The IRS counters that Congress gave the Secretary of the Treasury power to enforce these laws through involuntary collection if voluntary compliance fails. In 2026, while many Americans struggle to make ends meet and argue that the IRS is unconstitutional, the White House is targeting a July 4 deadline for the Clarity Act to become law, which will be the legal framework for the agentic crypto economy and comprehensive oversight by the IRS. Changes to Internal Revenue Code Section 6045 require brokers, any person who is responsible for regularly providing any service effectuating transfers of digital assets on behalf of another person, to report digital asset transactions to the IRS. This is happening on the international level as well. By the time the agentic AI commerce is fully running, every wallet, every broker, and every cross-border data sharing agreement will already be wired directly into the IRS and its international counterparts. The U.S. has explicitly rejected the CBDC model in favor of privately issued dollar-backed stablecoins regulated under the Genius Act and soon the Clarity Act. But the surveillance and programmability concerns associated with CBDCs are still being achieved through state-mandated reporting wrapped around privately issued tokens that are functionally just as traceable. Circle, the issuer of the USDC stablecoin, which handles 98% of AI agent payments, is positioning itself as infrastructure for tokenized carbon credits. And so if a future carbon tax were ever implemented, the infrastructure will already be in place for it. Greg Reese reporting.
And of course, the UN Agenda 2030 Goals for Sustainable Development. That is lagging, but that's still part of the larger one world government agenda. Okay, so we are below $4 a gallon for the price of gasoline here. Now we're at $3.93 today on average across America, according to AAA. You can see right there, rounded up to $3.93. So, went down a little bit. It's going down. Went down a good, 13 cents from last week. So that's looking good. Better, at least. Not really that great, but better. Now, Brown University, the Watson School of International and Public Affairs. We take a look at the total cost burden across the Iran war. Let's see. It went up, now it went back down again. Let's see. Well, I guess they locked it. So I guess they're saying the Iran war is over. Earlier today, it was way higher and it went down. We're at 60. I guess we closed the Iran war with a total consumer cost burden of $61.6 billion. They did a little bit of adjustments, maybe an overestimate there. So here it is. Still feels like there's more cost to come in than the total consumer U.S. household burden. There, $47.10. You can see across both gasoline and diesel, and the numbers are moving. The numbers are moving there. Albania is not for sale. Protests grow over Kushner-linked luxury development project. Thousands protested in Albania's capital against proposed luxury development project linked to Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. The primary focus of protest is a proposed multi-billion euro tourism project on Albania's Adriatic Sea coast. The protests have become known as the Flamingo Revolution due to a purported threat to wildlife and decline ecosystem posed by the real estate project. Protesters in Tirana, Albania, were seen carrying Albanian flags and banners saying Albania is not for sale. Over the weekend, protests raged in Albania. The primary focus of the demonstrations is a proposed Kushner-linked tourism project on Albania's Adriatic Sea. The protests have since fused with wider public anger over opaque real estate deals and alleged government corruption. The protests have become known as the Flamingo Revolution due to, we covered that, Albania's prime minister, who has defended the multi-billion euro development project, has rejected calls to resign. Kushner's investment firm, Affinity Partners, referred CNBC to a PR firm when contacted for comment. The agency said Sazan Real Estate Development, LLC, is the entity developing the project and that Affinity Partners has no involvement. It added that any U.S. partners were involved in their personal capacity. Our goal is simple: celebrate Albania's natural beauty, create jobs, and build something future generations can be proud of. In its future will ultimately be determined by Albania and the Albanian people, the PR propaganda firm said. Apparently the Albanian protesters, part of the Flamingo Revolution, are not listening to the Kushner PR firm there. On to the fallout from Keir Starmer. Let's see, Keir Starmer. Yeah, let's hear him. He resigns. Keir Starmer has resigned as UK Prime Minister, sadly enough.
The question being asked now is not who was best placed to change the Labour Party, to take us into power and to begin the vital work of improving lives for millions of people. Those questions have been answered. The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Should have never been in the government in the first place if you love the country as you claim there, buddy. And so UK, man, what a shit show they have. Just as bad as America here. Here's a look at last 10 years there. David Cameron from 2010 to 2016. Theresa May, 2016 to 2019. Boris Johnson during the bat times. Literally ignored all the bat rules, partied, laughed as the rest of his country was locked down. Good, very conservative of him. Liz Truss, she only lasted 49 days. Rishi Sunak, all good conservatives running the country into the ground there. And then Labour jumped in there. You could see with Keir Starmer the last 2 years running the country into the ground as per usual, as per design there out of the UK. And so, yeah, there's giant scandal still going on. Epstein file cover-ups, trafficking diplomatic cables through Keir Starmer's office, i.e. Mendelsohn. And so and they're like, I forget even which side. I think it's Labor is another big Zionist. Says that the number one priority for UK is to have a meeting with Aardvark land. It's just like, meet the old boss, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Same routine. Same routine here now. Any more on that? That's about it. Maybe we'll follow up a little bit more of the fallout there, but he's going to go away now, and the next corrupt puppet will take his place. China sanctions dozens of U.S. companies in response to Pentagon blacklisting Chinese firms, as we're now neck deep in a Cold War with China on multiple fronts. China imposed new restrictions on dozens of U.S. entities announced today in response to Washington's blacklisting of several more Chinese companies accused of aiding Beijing's military forces. China has decided to place 10 U.S. entities, including engineering firm Avox Inc., on its export control list. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce said export operators are prohibited from exporting dual-use items to the above-mentioned 10 entities. Any organization or individual in any country or region is also prohibited from transferring or providing dual-use items originating from China to these entities. We're in a Cold War. We're in a space race war. We're in an AI race war, they told us. They tell us, again, at the top levels, all of these governments working behind the scenes through secret societies together while publicly opposing each other. And at some levels, there's different levels to all this. At some levels, they are. But at the very top, Epstein, Rothschild, super spy level, they're all working together, all in the same secret societies, the Freemasons, and so on. Different factions. And of course, they have their own dramas within that. But all in all, working toward that same goal. One world government, scientific dictatorship, technocracy, and a head man of that in South America is Milei. Argentina's government has authorized up to $500 billion in new borrowing from international financial institutions. Again, that's about 2 days of interest on the national debt here in America. But for the people of Argentina, they will be suffering some austerity measures. I would like to say coming down the pipe here now, as Milei proudly declared himself a few months back the most Zionist president in the world. There he is on the campaign trail taking a chainsaw to big government. No, he's actually taking it to the savings of the Argentinian people, whatever they have left, as they transition to full-on technocracy there in Argentina. Are we going to see a rollout of new right-wing death squads in Central and South America, as were popularized in the 80s by the CIA? Well, maybe we can have some new death squads, as apparently this Trump-endorsed candidate has won the Colombian presidential election. So maybe we can have some right-wing death squads, as the drug war, as it's called by U.S. Southern Command, America's counter-cartel coalition, is coming together. And so maybe we can have some more. Well, there is a secret, halfway public, a drug war raging right now in Mexico, Central and South America. I do believe it's very underreported, but there are casualties coming out of it, all to consolidate the drug trade into helping out the CIA and Western intelligence, who's actually running the contraband trade globally in large part. Another success for the America's Counter Cartel Coalition. This one now out of El Salvador, posted by U.S. Southern Command right there. And so I guess it is a success because they didn't whack these guys. They actually arrested them. They're El Salvador tyrannical anarcho-capitalist libertarian Bukele says there. And so they arrested these fishermen with a bunch of drugs allegedly here now and have them pose on their knees there, getting the bad guys. On board were 3 drug traffickers, 2 Colombians and 1 Ecuadorian, transporting 3.425 tons of the cocaine there, allegedly. At least they didn't whack them. At least they didn't whack them there. Ecuador continues to combat cartels and narco terrorism alongside America's counter cartel coalition partners across the Western Hemisphere. And the National Defense of Ecuador put these images out. Meme of the days from Ecuador fighting the drug war with America there. And more from U.S. Central Command. The U.S. Marines and sailors with Littoral Combat Force 24 continually demonstrate their readiness and elite war-fighting skills while deployed to the U.S. CENTCOM area of responsibility. Let's watch this short propaganda video out of U.S. Southern Command. And they did throw in that nice subliminal messaging there as well. We do appreciate those mind control efforts. Yesterday, it was announced by U.S. Southern Command on June 21st at the direction of Southcom Commander Donovan. Joint Task Force Southern Sphere conducted a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel operated by designated terrorist organizations. Intelligence confirmed the vessel was transiting along known narco trafficking routes in the Caribbean and was engaged in narco trafficking operations. 2 male narco terrorists were killed during this action, and there were 6 male survivors. Again, extrajudicial assassinations, straight up murder being carried out by U.S. Southern Command in the name of the never-ending drug war, which is actually a consolidation of contraband smuggling. Here's that video. They whacked them there. They claim 2 killed and 6 survived. I don't know how you survived that, but they claim 6 survived. So at least they didn't whack everybody there. And of course, Q psyops from the Department of War here now. Are you enjoying the show? Refill your popcorn. You'll love this next part. American Q quantum dominance. No, we don't like any of it because we know exactly what you bastards are doing. And none of it is for us. It's all for the central bank cartel and your dark occultist satanic masters. Here's a Rothschild, a member of Rothschild family, Dame Hannah Rothschild, reveals that their largest foundation was set up 140 years ago in Palestine to help the future Aardvarkland citizens. It's a long planned out conspiracy, i.e. agenda.
And then the biggest foundation we have, which was set up by another forebear, Edmund Rothschild, 140 years ago. So it's the oldest one in Palestine. That one, because Israel is still a comparatively young country, that one has, it's firstly, and this is terribly important for us as a family, It is for all the citizens of Israel. Because it was set up before Israel itself was created, when my forebears set it up, we set it up for everybody, regardless of their religion, of their creed, their lack of religion, their profession. And that informs everything that we do. And then
See, they're all about equality there at Rothschild Foundation. I-24 news out of Aardvark land broadcasts Aardvark military veterans practicing yoga to cope with trauma caused by the war. And I saw people posting if they were doing this in Lebanon, they'd be bombed
on International
already.
Yoga Day and the summer solstice. No place better to be than on top of Tel Aviv with these beautiful views, celebrating the fact that we are experiencing a very profound moment here in Israel. Behind me, you see dozens of people that are taking part in a yoga practice as a part of a nonprofit called Brothers in Yoga. It's an organization started by a wonderful woman named Netta Margalit, who has dedicated all of her time and energy and resources.
That's good. They're getting that yoga therapy when they're not shooting children in the head. Here's Netanyahu. He said, well, he tells us right here that, well, yeah, why throughout history? Because they're baby blood drinkers poisoning the well is why throughout history they have issues.
And let me tell you how anti-Semitism works down the ages. Ever since we lost our country and we became defenseless, we were defenseless not only against physical attack, but against the vilifications that often and always preceded them. So we were faced in one country with such vilifications, and that led eventually to either one of two things, either exile or massacre. And then we went to another country, and we faced exactly the same thing. After the vituperations and vilifications, that we're poisoning the wells, that we drink the blood of slain children, that we carry vermin. And by the way, these are the exact lies that continued right up to the Nazi Holocaust. Exactly the lies.
Is it all lies all throughout history? Every place they've been have noticed that they're drinking the baby's blood and poisoning the well? Is it really all hateful conspiracies throughout our known history? Or is it this attitude? Kill them first?
We changed Israel's security doctrine. We initiate, we attack, we surprise, and we attack those enemies that seek our destruction, that seek to kill us. We attack them before they have a chance to do so. If you know Hebrew, Hakam leorgecha, hashkem leorgo. Kill them first.
There you go. That's all I got to say. I thought they were going to attack me. You kill them. Well, you're the good guy. Really? That's a premeditated murder? That's not self-defense? Well, we heard from some rigged up intelligence. Good enough for me, bro. Where are we at here with all this insanity? Lebanon diplomacy updates. Report out of drop site. Diplomatic efforts to reinforce the ceasefire in Lebanon continued today following U.S.-Iran talks in Switzerland. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun spoke by the phone with VP Vance, White House advisor Jared Kushner, who all MAGA voted for, and Qatari Prime Minister. That guy's got a long freaking name. The Qatari Prime Minister. Let me attempt to read his name here. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. What a freaking title name that dude has, Qatari Prime Minister. According to the Lebanese presidency, they discussed consolidating the ceasefire in Lebanon, halting the Aardvark land military escalation, and the steps that must be taken in this regard. The leaders also discussed the possibility of forming a cell to support those efforts. The wording is more cautious and differs from statements by Iranian officials and the Pakistan-Qatar joint communique, which described a Lebanon deconfliction cell as part of the outcomes of the Switzerland talks. Meanwhile, Information Minister Paul Morkos said Lebanon welcomes any assistance that could bring an end to the war, including the establishment of a lasting ceasefire, while stressing that diplomatic efforts should preserve the negotiation process led by President Aoun. Yeah, Lebanon government, puppet of the West. There is no ceasefire there. Aardvarkland National Security Minister Ben Gvir. It's in his language there, so we won't play it, but everybody knows this psychopath, right? Ben Gvir. He said the cost of giving into international pressure is a heavy one. My position is that instead of a ceasefire, we should attack Beirut. So a big advocate there of U.S.-Iran peace negotiations. Ben Gvir went on to say, the state of Aardvarkland must act accordingly to a clear principle, which is kill everyone. I added that part. We appreciate our friends. We love Trump. But first and foremost, Aardvarkland soldiers, first our fighters, first our residents. Well, if that was true, you're stacking up IDF bodies, then you wouldn't be doing that. But hey, they continue. Let's see some of the damage here now from southern Lebanon. Yeah, they're leveling the place here. This is on the ground video from Ro Kwa Chasmadine on the X. Southern Lebanese writer reporting from the ground in Lebanon. Let's take a look at some of the video of the destruction from these ongoing carpet bombing campaigns.
Live from Dwar, which is
again, this is southern Lebanon, not Gaza, excuse me, because they both are being turned into apocalyptic hellscapes.
the prominent, historically significant village nestled in the Nabatiya district of southern Lebanon, just north of the Litani River, known regionally for its rich agricultural hills and as the birthplace of renowned Lebanese intellectuals. The village was struck multiple times over the last week during one particular devastating Israeli attack on June 19th. 6 people were killed. 24 hours later, an Israeli drone strike killed a man on his motorcycle in the village. And as you can see, from the southern Lebanese city of Nabatiya, this is Ruqayya Shamsuddin reporting from the area in the aftermath of recent Israeli airstrikes. As you can see, it was near a local mosque. There is more devastation that you're unable to see from this angle, but it is actually pretty overwhelming. They targeted businesses, cafes, bookstores, residential buildings, and as usual, you can see what remains of people's livelihoods buried here beneath the rubble. Everything from clothing, furniture, to school books, because despite everything that's going on, we had the local education authority try and dictate to students in Lebanon that they still had to study for their exams and take their exams. And some students actually ended up being killed by Israeli airstrikes because they were trying to attend.
No audio on this one, but you could see the scale of destruction here now. Leveling the joint. I do believe we have some more video of it. This report, This report out of the cradle. Let's see some of the on the ground destruction there in southern Lebanon.
Reporting from Arab Samim in South Lebanon in Iqlim al-Tufah, the Apple region. I'm at one of the attack sites from yesterday. Israel bombed the area over 15 times, killing multiple people, among them children.
And it goes on detailing the civilian victims there, children, women, pregnant women, civilian men, not part of Hezbollah, not part of any terrorist group, not part of any militia, not part of the Lebanon army, just Joe Blows like me and you being ethnically cleansed. They're trying to go back there. I saw reports. If you even have a home left, new deconfliction mechanism for Lebanon excludes aardvark land, limits freedom of action. Bibi said it. We read you his statements. Katz has said it. So yeah, that's still like that's the elephant in the room for Trump. And I don't see how we sit through 60 days of communication at the peace talks while they're genociding the Lebanese here indiscriminately. I don't see how Iran can stand for that. Iran's foreign minister, Argachai, said, tireless Pakistani and Qatari mediation has delivered major progress to end Lebanon war. Oil and petrochemical exports are waived, blockade lifted, some frozen assets released, and major reconstruction and development plan launched for Iran. First real test, Lebanon deconfliction cell. They just shot a few people today, bro. They stopped a carpet bombing campaign, so I guess that's progress. Over 11,000 buildings completely leveled, thousands more damaged by aardvark land in southern Lebanon. A joint assessment by the United Nations Development Program and Lebanon's National Council for Scientific Research reveals that the recent aardvark land aggression has caused approximately $1.38 billion in direct structural damage to southern Lebanon. By analyzing and comparing satellite tracking data from October 2025 to late April, researchers found that aardvark land attacks completely leveled 11,095 buildings, directly impacting nearly 18,000 household units. The devastation expands beyond total destruction, with thousands of other structures caught in the crossfire. The report details that an additional 2,242 buildings suffered partial damage, while 9,311 sustained minor structural impacts. They're going to circle back and level those joints later here now. Aardvark Land Prime Minister, Shadow President Bibi, he says, is this in English? No, it's and we don't have English translation, but we do have it in text form here. Bibi said, the directive from me and the Minister of Defense, Katz, to the IDF is clear and has not changed. Well, thanks for getting on board with U.S. peace with Iran. No. Nothing's changed there. Our greatest ally is not backing our move to have peace with Iran. Our forces in southern Lebanon have full freedom of action to thwart any direct or emerging threat against them or against the residents of the north. The IDF faces no restrictions in this regard. They'll false flag themselves, for crying out loud. I stand behind them, and the entire nation stands behind them. I remain firm in my position that we will stay in the, quote, security zone, the land they already stole in southern Lebanon, for as long as necessary in order to protect the residents of the North and all citizens of the state of Aardvark land. They stole that, and we showed you the maps from the IDF. They're not giving back that land anytime soon. Here now, some more skirmishes, because it's not full-on carpet bombing campaigns today. We got to wait, till tomorrow. Let's hope not, but all talk from Cats. Bibby says they're ready to go at any time, and hell, they'll launch a missile on themselves if necessary to justify further genocide. Aardvark land sets conditions for ending occupation in southern Lebanon. And of course, they lay out what they know will never happen. Aardvark land has 3 minimum conditions for withdrawing its forces from southern Lebanon: the withdrawal of all Hezbollah terrorists north of the Litani, the disarmament of Hezbollah infrastructure south of the Litani, and full Aardvark land freedom of action to remove threats. Is that really a withdrawal from southern Lebanon? Not really. They know Hezbollah is never going to disarm, and they still have freedom to kill whoever they want. So, yeah, they're not withdrawing from southern Lebanon, essentially. They said it by not saying it. Finance Minister Smotrich declared that Aardvark land will maintain its military occupation of southern Lebanon for years to come. But we gave you guys a chance. We said give up your arms and line up and be shot. And so, I mean, come on. Give peace a chance, bro. He went on to say, vowing not to withdraw even if explicitly ordered by Washington. In another interview with Makor Rishon newspaper, reported by the Times of Aardvark land, the minister discussed the likelihood of U.S. pushback, stating he estimates no such demand will come because they understand our red lines. Smotrich confirmed plans to establish permanent infrastructure in the occupied territory, including everything definitively from army posts to full military bases. They're taking all that land. He justified the long-term expansion by criticizing historical borders, arguing that the 1916 Skies Picot line is illogical and failed to consider the territory's topography. We are there until Hezbollah disarms, and I think also beyond that, because we need to defend our borders, Smotrich stated. The finance minister emphasized that the open-ended occupation represents a unified front within the Aardvark land war cabinet. Until Hezbollah disarms, we aren't moving a millimeter, Smotrich said, adding that this is the stance of the prime minister and defense minister and mine too, and we are determined to stick to it. Hell, Ben-Gvir said start bombing Beirut now. So the softer side of genocide. We're not leaving. We're building military bases, disarm so we can shoot you in the face. And by the way, we're taking all the land as well. The softer side of genocide, as Ben-Gvir says, just bomb Beirut now. All of Lebanon should become our playground, Ben-Gvir said. Here now. Speaking on Channel 14 in Aardvark land, Ben-Gvir stated that all of Lebanon should be our target and repeated an earlier statement that he made calling for 1,000 Lebanese mothers to cry. So, wow, the good cop, bad cop. The good cop says, we're just going to take all your land and shoot you in the face. The bad cop says, we're going to take all your land and shoot you in the face and your mother in the face. Wow. So we're kind of lost the plot on good cop, bad cop. They're just all bad cops now. Imagine this guy, British Colonel Richard Kemp, is retired, speaking at this big Aardvark conference they had, the Aardvark News Syndicate Summit in Jerusalem, where all the usual just sickening Aardvark supremacists were there, saying how we're all bad and they're the good guys as they murder children. Listen to this guy. What do you even say to this? I speak as a goy, a mere goy. So already denigrated himself in the presence of his Aardvark masters. So, I mean, yeah, you sold your soul to Satan. Good job there, clown man.
I speak as a goy, a mere goy. The Jews were put on the face of the earth to be a light unto nations. And Israel is being that light in defense of its own country. And I think most particularly, not just in military technology, but in the way in which those extraordinary men and women of the IDF have shown the world how to fight. And many countries in Western Europe, which are going to face this violence, will be looking to Israel to see how they're going to fight. So the narrative is one thing, but action, I think, is even more important.
And of course, they set up all these future confrontations with the Claregi plan, right? Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for that. I speak as a goy, a mere goy. How do you sit there and denigrate yourself? I mean, you sold out, right? I mean, what an embarrassment. You're like, but Sam, they're still whacking the Palestinians, right? Yeah, well, that genocide is tragically enough continuing as well. Aardvark land has carried out a double tap strike in Gaza, killing a young woman, an 18-year-old student, on her way to school. And so, quite horrific. We got video of the dead, mangled body laying there. I think we'll pass on showing you that. Here is her mother crying. I guess we can show you that.
راحت يا عبد وردة يتيمة ربنا يخليك العمر فرحت مسألة عروسة.
Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking, tragic there. 18-year-old student dead. She said, my only rose is gone. The mother of 18-year-old Raghad Ashur, killed by Aardvark land airstrikes in Gaza City. Here you go. Here's another angle showing the double tap that killed the student there while returning home from her final secondary school examination. She's a Hamas. I don't think she was a Hamas. They whacked her. They whacked her. There's two other Palestinians, teenagers, shot and killed. These two. They're in North Hebron earlier today. Afrat Ismail Awad, 19, shot and killed, dead now. And then Reda, Simi, Hassan, and Wad, 15, shot and killed. Here's Huckabee, traitor, literal traitor, hanging out with Jonathan Pollard, convicted Aardvarkland spy. Doubles down on his claim that Christianity would not exist without Aardvarkism and that Western civilization would not exist without Judeo-Christian values.
This week, I got into a little bit of controversy unintentionally because I said something that I've been saying for years. It wasn't anything new, but I made the point, and I want to make it with you. One of the reasons that our nations are tied together is because it is upon the Jewish foundation that Christianity was formed, and upon the Jewish and Judeo-Christian foundation, Western civilization was formed, and without that, there would not be an America.
Selling his evangelical Christian Zionist lies. And finally, I think this is very important, the Aardvark influence here in America, the Hasbra propaganda and lies. It needs to be restated. Maybe I'll add this to Epstein report and just report on it every day, because it is actually shocking. And it's brainwashing a lot of people. This traitor, another traitor, Brad Parscale, former Trump campaign manager. He's currently a registered foreign agent for Aardvarkland and is paid by Aardvarkland government to push pro-Aardvarkland views at Salem Media Group, where he works as a chief strategy officer. Salem Media Group owns 117 radio stations in 38 markets here in America, as well as the conservative news sites Town Hall, Red Site, Hot Air, and PJ Media. Parscale's firm has received $15 million from Hanvis Media Network, a PR group working for the Aardvarkland government. The Daily Mail reported, citing FARA documents, the firm will receive $4.5 million a month between April 1st and October 31st for a total of $446.5 million. So literally a foreign agent there, Trump's former campaign manager, propagandizing the American people through Salem Media Group and the radio stations they own and these alleged conservative websites, which are literal aardvark propaganda arms. It's just truly quite disgusting. All right, let's take a look at the headlines from Iran International. Will wrap up this show. Trump tells Iran to behave as U.S. eases sanctions. Hardline outlet challenges interpretation of Khomeini message on U.S. talks. Iranian MP calls for protest over continued closure of parliament. House Foreign Affairs Democrats slam Trump over Iran sanctions relief. Will the Islamic Republic trade with the great Satan, the America? Well, Trump saying through racketeering, a gun to your face, you will trade with us. You will buy our agriculture, or you will not have a deal and be part of the racketeering. Trump touts Republican support for Iran deal amid bipartisan criticism. Top headlines there out of Iran International. And then finally, top headlines out of Al Jazeera here. Iran says U.S. to release $12 billion in frozen Iranian funds, waive oil sanctions. Ghalibaf defends decision to hold talks with U.S. Democrats say Trump's actions on Iran inconsistent with its rhetoric. But they already said don't don't even pay attention to Trump's rhetoric. That's for domestic propaganda purposes for idiot Americans that believe Trump's lying out of both sides of his mouth and his rear end. That's for those people. U.S. believes Iranians made key concessions on the nuclear issue. That's all we got for today. I guess we can take some comfort in the fact they're not actively carpet bombing Lebanon or Gaza right now, but all their top aardvark genocidal statements say anytime, right? Anytime. So, and they're not part of any of the peace deals. So how do we make it 60 days? That's without them continuing the genocide there. It's anybody's guess at this point, but our greatest ally not helping us in Iran peace negotiations one little bit, and anytime we get this a significant breakthrough, I'm sure they'll pull off another giant massacre as per usual. But hey, at least they're not carrying out full-on carpet bombing campaigns as we speak right now. So I guess we can take heed to that fact. Better than killing everybody. They're only killing a few today, but again, I don't see any of this holding as per their own statements. We shall see. We shall see how all this plays out. Okay, over to the Odysee now. Shout out to Odysee chat listeners there. Shout out to Highland, John. Let's see. I suspect that all satellites are balloons after a couple of news stories claiming a satellite fell to Earth when it got tangled in a weather balloon. Once might be explainable, but two, i.e. Truman Show, right? Yeah. Carbon tax is based on fraudulent claims CO2 causes global warming, John said. It's still in the back pocket of UN Agenda 2030 goals for sustainable development. They've already developed a massive infrastructure. So I don't see how they can just walk away. It's still operating. The carbon markets are still operating in the background as they build out the AI data surveillance centers, and how they square all of that with environmentalism. Who cares? A Terminator will be knocking at your door before you know it if you ask too many questions, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I do there, John. I do. To answer that question, I don't want to say what it is because there's a lot of weirdos on the internet. Killing the CIA's competitors, indeed. Indeed, they're killing an Arab means something else now, Highland said. They killed Christian children for their blood, which was used in their black magic rites. Smoke trick Fat Bob says. The psychopaths of Aardvark land need to be eliminated. They should be invaded and their leaders publicly hanged. There's no enforcement mechanism to the ICC's indictments, right? All we get is maybe if we catch you in one of the countries that acts like they care about international law, you may get arrested. It's just all smoke and mirrors from Smoke Trick, right? Very embarrassing. Mankind has lost its mind because of Masons and Talamuds, Fat Bob said. Indeed. Shout out to Danger. I can't help but imagine dragging the Kemp prick behind a truck on a rough road. Fat Bob says, turn on Fox News. Aardvark Land's Matrix. Oh, man. All right. Thank you for joining us, Fat Bob. We appreciate your comments. John says, they most certainly are in the U.S. in key industries. Veterans of Unit 8200 have infiltrated choke points for water, sewage treatment, oil, gas line pipelines. Shout out to Pink Vegas there. Man. And Danger says, whether you like them or hate them, the man from Germany in World War II was right about the aardvarks. Yeah, well, I don't know. There's still a lot to I think it's been established he was an agent of the UK. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure he killed more Germans than aardvarks. So there's still more to look at, but it's very difficult through heavy censorship there. But I do believe he killed more Germans than aardvarks. Just putting that out there for the man leading World War II Germany. All right, friends, thank you for tuning in on this Monday edition of Weaponized News. It looks like, hey, maybe it is simmering down. My hopes are not high, but hey, maybe it is simmering down. Maybe it is simmering down in West Asia. We have 60 days, feels like a long time to go without an Aardvark Land massacre at this point. But we shall see. Maybe they're going to simmer down and allow us to get this peace deal with Iran in place. Let's pray for peace. Thank you guys for tuning in on the Odysee, X, Kick, Substack, Facebook, Rumble, and the YouTube. We did have some, let's scroll about halfway up here. Oh, shout out to Plutonium. He gave a $2 super chat there. Thank you very much. Support independent media. He said, thank you very much, sir, there. I do appreciate it. But you're supposed to say some crazy comment, but his comment was support independent media. It is truly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, let's just scroll up about halfway here. If I miss any shout outs, apologies. Yeah, reports of Rumble freezing up badly there from multiple listeners. So not on my end. I don't know what's up with some bug on Odysee. Karen, shout out to Karen. She says, rat resistant trash cans. I don't think that's going to make the District of Criminals leave. Because it's only 10,000 for every aardvark on October 7th. Grandy on the YouTube says, I see a tall male body part structure, not a pool. Get your mind out of the gutter, Karen. No, I mean, actually the guys that brought it all about, right? Their mind's actually in the gutter. Let's see here. They're fighting about, or they're saying that, will liberals ever admit to one thing they like about President Trump? Will liberals ever admit to one thing they like about President? I don't know. I don't think so. Trump wins, NATO pays, and Libbies can't acknowledge Trump wins. How is any of this wins? They're getting ready to crank up Iran-Ukraine war here hot and heavy. Sadly enough, it looks like. And edging on NATO directly attack. Where I saw, I didn't even get to the reporting on it because I'm like, it's ugly and it's Reported long-range UK missiles hitting inside of Russia via Ukraine, and Russia is trying to restrain itself from escalating here now. Looking like it's going to, they want to raise that up, bring NATO full on in, and bring us in. Hell, the proxy war with Russia that we're still in. Let's hope that doesn't escalate further. Trump can't help but lie constantly. Ex-kin says on the YouTube. He can't help it. He's a compulsive liar. Give him a break. He's addicted to lying. Drunk Pat on the YouTube says, yeah, we got to give Trump a pass. He's a compulsive liar, and so we got to give him a pass on never-ending propaganda and lies. A lot of comments from Karen. Thank you very much. She was calling for people to get in there on the YouTube, and a few people did join in there. Spirit, dude making money promoting Trump. Good job. Let's see here. Rumble's working now, Chloe said. Thank you. Karen, concerning Palantir. We did mention Google, and yeah, there's the big dogs, right? IBM, right? Per Ruckus, IBM is a philanthropic botanical garden. Karen says. Oh man, yeah, but IBM AI supercomputer Watson, right? You don't hear much about that. It was widely promoted when it first rolled out, I remember, but you don't hear much about it nowadays. So what is going on with that thing? Some crazy AI stuff that we will never have access to. Shout out to Snow there. Oh, lovely time to tune in. I think you tuned in right when we're going over the leveling of Lebanon there. Worshipping ignorance is evil personified. Psychopaths are incapable of humility, Captain Homer says there. Pamela says, must note with Iran deal to unfreeze funds to buy American corn and soy. Over 95% is Bayer Monsanto, GMO, banned in Iran and Russia and other enemies. Yeah. It's part of the racketeering. They should demand organic, right? We'll only be party to racket, America, and buy American agriculture if it's organic. That may be talking about here. Let's see. Malthus says, no matter who you vote for, nothing will get better. Stop acting like presidents matter. And they threw an F and Aardvark land there. I feel zero empathy for Muslims or Aardvarks. Well, that's where they want you, is to have no empathy. And then when it comes time for your number to be called, then no one will have empathy for you. And that's how they get where we're at now. I bent my Wookiee. Have you ever seen a happy Democrat? Democrat. That's Trump's new catchphrase. Have you ever seen one? Yeah, actually. They were very happy when Obama was in power there, selling his propaganda and lies. And now Republicans are happy, allegedly, when Trump sells the propaganda and lies to them. So pick your flavor of government propaganda and lies. I think the big takeaway from today's show is we're seeing they're calling for now a whole of industry approach, a whole of government approach, and a whole of society approach to bring about technocracy, essentially here now. Militarized global surveillance police state, i.e. scientific dictatorship, i.e. one world government. And so we start seeing these calls for whole of society. Watch out. They're getting ready to turn that dial on the tyranny up a little bit more here now. All right, friends, as always, thank you for joining us on this Monday edition. Do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Monday evening. And we'll be back here on Tuesday for more Weaponized News. Let's pray for peace, that this thing holds. Hey, let's pray that Aardvark land would want to actually help us in our efforts to have peace with Iran. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday